episode, podcast 12. So sick. Super special interview for you today. We don't have pizza, but we do have coffee because I'm interviewing the coffee guy, the Aaron Moxley. What's going on, dude?
What's up?
I'm happy. This is awesome. We're actually in his shop that's opening on June 19th. I want to say the 11th. June 19th. And it's so sick and can't wait for you guys to see it. But we're going to let him talk. How you doing today?
Good.
Okay, so we're going to jump right into this, into your coffee making experience. So back to the beginnings of it. What piqued your interest in making coffee?
Well, it started in, I guess, when I worked at Starbucks, technically, even though I wouldn't, anybody out there, I wouldn't recommend Starbucks. But it started there. I worked for Starbucks for about 4 years. So that kind of piqued my interest in coffee.
Right.
And then it just kind of grew from there. I started, at that same time I was going to Cranky's in Winston, and had a good friend that was a barista there, and he's the first one that ever saw a pour over device from, and it had been something that had been around for years, but it was the first time that I'd seen one or anyone, and this was probably in 2008, 9, somewhere out there. Mm-hmm. And it'd probably been around before then, but it was the first time I'd seen it. And then it kind of set back on. I left the job at Starbucks, and then maybe a couple years later, so I moved out to Colorado, and I was in Colorado Springs, and that's kind of when everything coffee-wise just kind of like came back in a way, I guess. So I got really into the craft beer scene, and then in a way, I guess I kind of was spending too much money on beer, and it doesn't last as long. You get a bag of coffee, and it lasts more than one use,
right?
And with beer or with coffee, it lasts longer. So I just started checking out a local shop, and I ended up getting all my gear from the only roaster that was in Colorado Springs at the time, called Switchback. Okay. And got all my pour over gear from this guy Brandon. Shout out to Brandon Del Grosso.
Yo, shout out to Brandon.
And everybody at Switchback. It's changed a lot now. They were just a coffee roaster. Now they bought the shop that's next to them.
Okay.
That was called 50/50, and now they have a cafe and a roaster and everything. So they're doing great things. But that's where it started. And then at the time there was one other shop. Okay. There, and I'd get some beans there, just would, fiddle around with, making a pour over, doing all this, my coffee probably sucked when I first started out, just saying, because I wasn't measuring, there weren't certain parameters that you can use to kind of better your coffee. So, there's variables like water, what kind of water you're using, what temperature the water is, all the way to the grind size, the way you're pouring. I mean, it's super sciencey, actually. And,
right.
So, it's just kind of one of those things over time, just, tweaking everything. I've just, increased my knowledge of it because I just love making coffee so much. And, that's kind of the start of everything, I guess.
That's awesome. So I guess it started in Colorado.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Colorado was essentially the birthplace.
That's awesome. So jumping back to your home life, were your parents doing anything like this or anything along those lines at all?
No. Okay. My parents have both have had pretty much just standard jobs. My dad's worked the same job for almost close to 30 years, I think. So,
okay, cool.
So, and my mom, she's essentially been in 2 fields in her life. So
right.
No, nothing really, out of the box or anything like that. So
that's awesome. It's cool. It's sometimes you never know if there's connection with the parents or if you just kind of went off on your own, do your own thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's super cool.
Definitely. I was kind of always the black sheep in my family. I was the hardcore kid, and guy listening to screaming music and in high school, and wearing girl jeans, and before they made skinny jeans for guys. People don't understand that
girl pants.
We had to wear girl jeans because they didn't make skinny jeans like they do now.
You had to.
Yeah, you had to, exactly. So I was always that kind of rebellious kid, and so I don't know. I wouldn't really call coffee or a rebellious thing, but you know, in a way, it's, you know, it can be going against like the normal path, you know, that you could be on, you know.
That's cool though. That's awesome. It's such a, and we were talking before we started recording this, how insane the coffee world is. So I'm glad you're in it. I'm glad I know someone is in it and I can brag on it. But yeah, my homie Aaron's in this.
Yeah,
I know
definitely.
what's up.
It's an awesome community.
So as far as a business, obviously the pop-up shop, we talked about that a little bit. When did you start to take it like super seriously?
Well, I mean, it kind of, I mean, in a way, the shop, what we're in right now, it kind of fell into our laps. Because we started the pop-up shop and it was just kind of, you know, it started because a friend asked us to a wedding, and so then we're like, well, you know, we'd been wanting to, you know, start something, and it just kind of happened. We got some things together in order for us to do that pop-up at the wedding, and then we've done a couple other events, and it's just, I mean, I just love making coffee for people. Like,
right.
I mean, I just really do. My goal, one of my goals in life is to make, or not make, because you can't really make anyone do anything,
yeah,
but
that's very true.
To open the eyes of people that coffee doesn't have to taste bad.
Okay.
Like, because there's a preconceived notion that coffee
is
just tastes
nasty.
bad.
Yep.
Like, I mean, that's just how it is. And you have to put cream and sugar and everything, and it's overloaded. But that's the thing. Like, people don't understand the beauty that coffee is. Like,
right.
They don't understand. When I tell someone, yeah, this coffee tastes like blueberries, they're like, oh, do you add, like,
blueberry
syrup to it? Like, blueberry syrup to it? I'm like, no. Like, it just tastes like blueberries.
That's how it is.
Like, like, nothing was added. Literally black coffee. And, you know, it's kind of like people think that it has to taste over roasted. It has to taste like it's burnt, or, you know. And, I mean, there's different roasting styles, but still, even within roasting styles, you know, there is, of course, everyone knows there's light roast, there's medium roast, and there's dark roast. But, you know, for the most part, your specialty coffee roaster is a dark roast to them is more of a medium roast, and it's more of actually a light roast, just roasted darker than most lights.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So, you know, so I mean, you're gonna get, you know, depending, I mean, there's so many variables that go into, I mean, I know I say variables a lot, but I mean, in every aspect, there's different variables that go into the growing process of coffee. There's different variables that go into the roasting process of coffee. Then there's different variables that go into the brewing process of coffee, you know, and you can tweak all these things.
Right.
And, you know, I mean, it's harder to tweak, I guess, growing in a way, but at the same time, like, I mean, the growing of it depends on the elevation, the shade, the temperature, the soil, you know. So in a way, you can change, you can do some of those things and tweak them, but in a way you can't. But I mean, and that's what, you know, like certain coffees from certain regions give off certain notes. So I mean, it's just, I just want people to love coffee as much as I do. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, and it's kind of like, and having those conversations with people when I had my pop-up is kind of what drove me to like want to do this, because I mean, I just love making coffee.
That's cool. You have the passion for it. It's awesome. I can definitely see it talking to you. And more about the pop-up shop. You had it set up in Greensboro, or did you take it just everywhere?
We did a couple weddings, and then we set up some of our friends. They were doing like these I think we did like maybe a 12-hour one. So they were doing these like worship events that were like certain, like for this organization, and they just, I don't know how the conversation ensued, but I'm not sure, but we just like ended up showing up and like being there to like make coffee for people, you know, that wanted to stay up really late and praise Jesus. So, you know, we just were there and served coffee. Hours. So yeah, I mean, it was I mean, we just in the beginning, it was just kind of like, well, let's just get our name out there, you know, any way we can. And so we did those, and then kind of after that, the plan was to be at the farmers market here in Greensboro.
Oh yeah, perfect.
That was the goal, and then we were gonna just do that through the spring and summer, and then try to save up as much money from that as we could to get a shop open, and then
that's cool.
Other plans came our way, so
that's awesome. And what was the name of the shop?
411.
411. Okay, and obviously it's different now.
Yes.
We'll talk about that in a minute. But I'll talk about kind of outside of this because you do IT.
Yes.
That's your kind of your main thing right now.
Right. Well,
for this.
So I do tech support for Spectrum. Nobody jump on me because the modem doesn't work, or because you since the merger that none of your services work. But that's who I work for, and then at the same time also working on getting my IT degree. So
perfect.
I'm on the process to get there, and I want to get there because it's kind of one of those things. Like in my head, I could do coffee, and then once I get my degree, I could be able to hopefully work from home or work from the shop and not have to go in, things like that. And that's in a way like my ideal situation is to get my degree and then be able to get a job like that, and then I can be able to work shop or what have you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That's a very good combination. If you can get that work from home, work from wherever, that would be perfect for the shop.
Definitely.
So describe, I guess, your process as far as getting the product that you get. So
as far as when I'm making coffee?
Yeah, so obviously, are you grinding your own stuff and you do the whole process, or do you get your stuff from other places?
I'm not that. I've never been that kind of guy where I just use the same coffee roaster for everything. I like different styles. I definitely have my favorites for sure.
Okay.
And that's kind of what I'm bringing to the table with this shop, as far as our mainstays. But as far as my process, I would say, there's different, it's hard when you don't live in a city where there's not like a local coffee roaster. You can't go down to the local shop and grab a bag,
right.
So moving here from Colorado, I had to, I started what's called Misto Box, and it's a coffee subscription that came every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And they've grown even since I started with them probably 2 years ago.
Right.
And now they've grown to there's so many more roasters they're working with, and essentially they're like the middleman. They have the subscription, and you tell them what kind of coffee you want, and they pretty much just contact roasters, and the roaster ships out the coffee to you.
So that's what you still use?
Well, no, not anymore. Because it's kind of, I would have it, and then I'd end up getting it, and then I had too much coffee.
Oh, okay.
Because over time, with my own personal Instagram that's turned into coffee Instagram.
Yeah, I watched that happen.
Yeah. Roasters will contact me and say, "Hey, can I send you some coffee?" So I get coffee in the mail all the time from different roasters.
That's cool.
And so it's been pretty cool. It's one of those catch-22s because I want to. There's certain coffees that I really want to try,
mm-hmm.
But then I'm I don't have. I have too much coffee right now, and then I'll get down to where it's I don't ever get down to where I don't have coffee, and the more coffee's coming in because someone's sending some coffee or something like that, and so I can't order the coffees that I really want to order.
Right.
So in a way, it kind of sucks, but in another way, I'm getting free coffee, so I'm not really complaining. But I just I've got a lot of through this, I've created a lot of friends in the coffee community, especially coffee community, and so they'll send me coffee to see, give me your honest opinion on this, new coffees that they just dialed in, roasting, what have you. I try many different coffees across the board, from different regions. I definitely have my favorite regions, favorite countries, varietals, things like that. And I may be saying a lot of words that people may not understand, but varietals are essentially just it goes into the aspect of how the coffee's grown.
Right.
So I'll get those coffees in, and then I have my own grinder. So I grind it up. Depending on, and the main two brew methods I use is either pour over, normally with my Kalita Wave, which Kalita Wave is essentially, it's a flat bottom dripper that you put on top of a brew device or mug, and you're essentially it's the same thing as if anybody out there doesn't know what a pour over is. It's essentially you're the coffee pot.
Okay.
To put it bluntly, because you're doing everything that a coffee pot would normally be doing, but you can make the best cup of coffee because you can control everything.
Okay.
A coffee pot, you just press a button and it does everything. With this, you can control how fast you're pouring or how slow you're pouring, and every aspect of it. You can this much coffee to this much water, things like that. I've tweaked. Water's a huge thing because if you think about it, water is 99% of coffee.
Yeah.
So water's a huge thing that people don't even realize. And I've gone so far, and some people may think it's crazy, but there's a company that just started up a few months ago called Third Wave Water.
Okay.
And Third Wave is kind of that's what I'm saying. We could talk for hours about this because there's different waves in the coffee world that started. Essentially, first wave was kind of like your Starbucks. Starbucks kind of started the whole waves.
Okay.
So there was that. Then the second wave was kind of people trying to get away from that. A lot of times, second waves will be they'll have everything, sandwiches, chips, soda, everything. And in a way, now we're getting to we're at third wave now. And the thing about third wave is, a lot of people will call it the pretentious because a lot of third wave shops think they're better than everyone else.
Okay.
So in a way, there's a lot of shops that are getting away from third wave, and they're trying to use a new wave, as more of an approachable shop that anyone can go into, but still have those qualities about them where they care about the coffee and they care about how it's made and prepared and roasted and all across the board. So Third Wave Water, they've kind of got some flack for the name itself.
I mean, Third Wave obviously is a.
Yeah, it's kind of pretentious, hipster, thing like that. It's really I forget who wrote up. There's an article on, I think it was a foodie website that wrote up a pretty nasty article about them.
Oh wow!
And then Sprudge, which is a huge coffee publication, they wrote an article back to them that was pretty fantastic.
Oh man!
But essentially, Third Wave Water it's little capsules that have different. It's a powder essentially. I'm not sure exactly what's in it, but all I know is it makes my coffee taste better.
It's really good. Okay.
Yeah, it'll take a coffee that's flat, or it brings out a lot of brighter notes to the coffee, and you just put it in a gallon. I don't know if you saw me over there, but I had a gallon.
Do you have it? Do you have it with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You get Anthony to get some footage of that because I've never seen that before.
Yeah. So it's pretty neat, and it's there's been waters that conversation that comes up so much, and people have said, oh, you need to add, people can make their own of this at home by adding different ingredients, things like that, to increase this, that, the other. But with Third Wave Water, it's just too easy. I'd rather just be done. And it's a 12 pack for with shipping $15, and it's 12 gallons of water. So it takes a while to go through the whole thing. So it's not a bad. And they're working on. They have stuff for espresso now. I'm not sure how that works exactly. I've only used it for pour overs, but it's a really cool thing. But I'll use that for my water, and then just make an AeroPress or Kalita Wave. An AeroPress is similar to the French press. The way to make it, if you follow the recipe that AeroPress gives you, it's essentially you're making espresso, but not espresso at the same time. So it's just a really strong coffee if you follow their directions. But there's people have messed around with, just like anything, tweaked it, changed the parameters, things like that. So I try to be creative and come up with different recipes, or change this, change that, see what happens. So it's just,
yeah, that's awesome.
That's my process essentially.
It's crazy because I don't think people realize how complex it can get as far as coffee. When people come in there to just want a coffee, there's a lot that can really go into it if you really go to a a certain shop. You're not going to your Keurig machine or like your,
Exactly.
you know, an actual like shop. It's just, that's awesome. That's really, really cool.
Yeah,
and I definitely want to talk about your influences as far as kind of what influences the shop, influences your work. You have any shops that you really like? You mentioned some regions that you like across, I guess, internationally.
Yeah.
So what influences you the most?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've always liked. Well, for one, like branding and like the way like a company is presented to me is like something that speaks volumes, because that's the first thing people are going to see, and I want that to be a great first impression, and then I want the coffee to back up what they saw, because I know myself, I look at, you know, whatever it may be, you know, I look at if I'm in the grocery store and beer, for example, you know, and it's a really well designed whatever it is, 9 times out of 10 I'm going to be at least more interested in that than I am others that, you know, has, you know, not as clean a design or doesn't speak to me as much. Okay. So, you know, design is a huge thing. I don't know, I can't design to save my life. Same. But, you know, I can at least, you know, look at something and say, hey, I like that. You know, if I was looking at something, I'd pick that over this.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, there's been different shops that have definitely influenced the way I want to see things. And some of these shops I haven't even actually been to, like Onyx Coffee Lab in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Some of the best human beings on the earth.
Okay. Heck yeah.
Everyone there is they just killed it at in Seattle. They had a big every year there's a giant coffee competition, which everybody's getting all this. No idea anybody out there that all this went into coffee, but there's coffee sports.
Dude, that's so awesome.
And it's streamed too, so you can watch it watch it just like anything else. But they so there's a Brewers Cup, which is essentially like pour over manual brewing, a competition, a barista competition, a roaster competition, and a tasters competition. And out of all 4 events, Onyx took home 2 first place and 1 second.
Wow.
So Dylan took home first for Brewers. The owner, Andrea, she took home second for barista. And then the roaster, which is to me like one of the most important things because it's their coffee, you know, he took home first. And awesome. So they're great group of people that are really pushing the boundaries on what a coffee can produce. Right. You know, as far as like, let's take they'll take a coffee from Colombia, or even crazy, like I've had like a Guatemala from them that tastes like peaches. That's not normal for like Guatemala. So, you know, it's just, I think that they produce some of the, you know, most different coffees. You know, they really like try to experiment and do some different things. And they have insane looking merch, and like branding and all that. And like I've kind of wanted to like take the same approach from them. And I say that because, you know, they started in a town that didn't have any shops.
Wow.
And they're in I can't think if their first shop is in Bentonville or Fayetteville, but it's wherever Walmart is from. And so like it's a headquarters for Walmart. Right. And so they're huge. They knew that going in. I've had this conversation with them that they needed something that someone would want to take a picture of their coffee cup, you know, instead of Starbucks, let's take a picture of this. Yeah. And so I've kind of like, with us, like this city not doing anything with coffee like that we're trying to do, I've kind of wanted to bring that same like cleanness and, you know, just something that speaks to, you know, someone and makes them want to post it. And that's why we've come up with the slogan, or whatever you want to call it, Rethink Coffee, for that sole purpose of, you know, let's show everybody that coffee can be different. Let's give them something that they're gonna want to, you know, post online, or, you know, Instagrammable things, you know, if you will. Because coffee's huge on Instagram. It's not as, you know, it's a little niche, you know, and that's what Instagram's good for, is little niche markets.
It's perfect.
and of communities, and that coffee flows so much on Instagram. Facebook, I mean, it does, but it's not as much. So it's just, we wanted to create something that gave people coffee comes first, but I mean, at the same time, design is a huge thing with coffee, because shops are looked at and roasters are looked at when they're if you got a bag that looks like it's from 1980 or the design is just very I don't even know what the right word would be, but I just want everything to look right. I want it to look approachable as well, because I don't want someone to be scared off because that shop looks like a hipster elitist.
Like one of those shops.
Yeah, one of those shops where they come in and I'm like, oh, you want a frappuccino? Like
I'm gonna come in
get out
for that one day. Just to make you mad. Like, Aaron, can you just fix me your frap, please?
I don't work at Starbucks, and I had those and Starbucks even, and that's a thing that's about approachability is, with people coming in asking for, things that, really aren't even, or it's a Starbucks drink. It's not a real drink.
Yeah.
It's a Starbucks drink, like a cappuccino.
It's not coffee at all.
Yeah, like cappuccino from Starbucks is, it's close, but cappuccino is essentially just espresso, milk, and a little bit of foam.
Right.
For Starbucks, it's a whole drink, and then so many people will put just a little bit, so it's just one of those things, being, not scaring people off by making them wait 3 minutes to have a cup of coffee, But I want, at the same time, I want those people to realize what those 3 minutes of me sitting there manually making them a coffee is going to do with their coffee.
Right.
Because, we're, of course, I'm not going to just have pour overs and not have anything on a regular coffee pot. But at the same time, I want people to see, what kind of coffee you can get by taking that extra step, or just being passionate about it. And I know not everybody's gonna do that at home. I don't expect everybody to do what I do. It takes a special person to do that. You gotta really invest time and effort into that, and not everybody wants to do that every morning. So but that's why we're here, and we hope people come for that.
We'll try hard to see people in here, because this is definitely something that I think Greensboro needs. So I'm super stoked on that. But you're talking about the pop-up shop, and obviously we're in your new shop that opens soon. But what other accomplishments have you had along the way? Have you been in any of these competitions, or what have you done?
I'd like to. So my first experience at an actual competition was this last January in Knoxville. I went to Knoxville and that was the semifinals for Seattle for the East Coast, essentially. So there was Knoxville in January, and then they did one in Texas in February, and it was a really cool experience all around, because it was cool for us to see so there's an awesome community of people that are a part of the Specialty Coffee Association. It used to be Specialty Coffee Association of America, but now the European and America's all together, so it's just...
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just cool. SCA for Specialty Coffee Association. Okay. It's such an awesome group of people, and it's just, we'll just go to conventions and go and have these competitions and just watch people make coffee. There's vendors there, showing their coffee or new, gear or, whatever it may be. And then we just go hang out there. And then at night we just go to a coffee shop and, make some lattes and do latte art throwdowns and drink beer and just hang out. And it's such an awesome group of people that just care so much about coffee, and there's people that own shops, there's people that are roasters, there's people that are trainers, wholesale directors, whatever it may be, and they're just there with, it's just it's like a family reunion, essentially. Cool. And it's such a great group of people that they're not judging people because their shop doesn't do this, or they do, there's nothing like that. It's just, we just all love coffee. And so it was a really great experience. And then I also got to meet as I say, Instagram like is like where coffee's at. I got to meet a lot of people that I've been friends with on Instagram for, since Colorado, some of them, and, people that, I've in a way looked up to in the coffee world. And I got to meet them, hang out with them. It was really cool. And like all the people at Onyx, I got to meet them for the first time. That was great, and just made a lot of awesome connections.
That's so cool.
And so I definitely want to compete. I just don't know when it'll be in the cards. So like depends on how everything. I'd like to compete next year. I mean, to be completely honest, but it just, it takes a lot. Like, but I definitely want to, like, and I don't, I'm not going in expecting to like, win or even go to Seattle, but, I just want it for the experience. I want it to, be able to learn from it, because, and I would do Brewers Cup, honestly, just because that's what I know the most. And so, you have a presentation. So you're in front of a panel of judges that are not only tasting your coffee, but you're talking while you're brewing coffee, and you're brewing 3 cups of coffee at a time. Explaining, whatever it is you really want to explain about the coffee. And then now you have to bring 9 pounds of your coffee with you, because you not only serve it to them and do your whole presentation, you also they'll do like a tasters thing with like all the people that are just there. So you bring coffee and serve it to everybody, and then there's also a compulsory, I think I'm saying that word right, round where they essentially give you a coffee and you just make 3 cups of coffee however you want
to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I've had some conversation with people that have done it in the past, and like I don't believe they give you a whole lot of. They may give you some information about it, but as far as I know, they are trying to give you a coffee that there may be something wrong with it. Like there may be like defects in the beans. Like there's different defects in coffee. Like one is potato.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which who wants to taste a coffee that tastes like potato? That's a huge one. They'll purposely try to trip you up. So it's one of those things I definitely want to do. I just not sure when I'll be able to do it.
Okay, well, definitely keep us updated on that. It'd be cool
definitely.
to, just to see how you do there, and I think you'll do well. But cool, just a few more questions for you. So the big one is obviously the shop. So what is that called, and where is it?
So it's called the Bold Palate, and it is downtown Greensboro on 421 West Smith Street, right before you get to Prayer Brewing, Crafted, and Joymongers there. So it's a nice little spot. We have free parking.
Oh, that is in itself awesome.
Yeah, it's right. But if anybody's trying to think right now, like where is that? It's literally right behind the Grasshopper Stadium. Okay. So you can like see, if you stand in our parking lot, you can see the Grasshopper Stadium. Yeah, exactly. We're located here, and some of you may recognize the name. It was a coffee shop before. It just wasn't able to stay open, and I kind of was given the reins of it, and very, very, very blessed for that and thankful for that, and just trying to do the best we can with what we were given. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how's it been transitioning into like an actual storefront?
It's been good. I mean, we'll see once we open.
That's very true. June 19th.
I'm not sure. I mean, it's been a while. I haven't worked for Starbucks or really, in that type of like environment since 2011. So it's been a while.
Right.
But, I talk to people every day. I'm excited for it, but it'll be interesting to see how everything pans out, how everything goes. I'm just hoping for the best, and that we can really change some things in this city and bring people to love coffee and know coffee and come to us for coffee.
Yes, and I can't wait to come, and I know we're gonna definitely be here, the whole Free Pizza crew. We like coffee, so it's awesome. And I guess you already talked about, obviously I can see your passion in making coffee, but I guess what does being in the business, brewing coffee, really do for you on a deeper level?
In a way, it's kind of like, it's a habit that, I've gotten into, is making coffee every morning, it's kind of like a morning ritual. If you say, like, if I, like, I just get up and make coffee. And, like, it's, I don't know, that, like, and how much my life can change and be so crazy. And, because I'm working a full-time job. I'm going to school online right now. I was going to actually transfer to Guilford College here and go in seat, but decided to hold back. If I do, that's even more busy. So, my life never seems to slow down. So I know I haven't mentioned it, it's just been talking coffee and everything, but I have a wife and a 4-year-old toddler, Abraham.
Yes.
And they're the best. And Sarah has been there the whole time.
She's right behind him, right?
She's actually painting our logo on the wall right now behind me.
It looks awesome, by the way.
It really does. And she's done so much for this shop, and I have nothing but just wonderful things to say to her and thank her for that. Because I've been working a full-time job and doing other things, and I've just been trying to do this together. And but then as far as brewing goes, it's kind of that one constant thing that's like been in my life, like besides like my family, of course, but like just life itself. Like, I've changed jobs, within the last couple of years, a couple times, and that'll change, but and different things in life happen, but coffee's always like been there for like the past couple of years, and it's always been something I get happier than and it's like a kid getting candy, when coffee comes in the mail. Like, I get so excited, and I just, I just want to get in and, roast it and, or not roast it, but brew it up. And so it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of become like my thing, and that place that I just enjoy. And then photography, of course, has come from it too, as I know you know. So,
yes.
I bought my own, Canon, just for essentially taking pictures. I said I was going to use it for more, but I really haven't. So
you should.
I should. I know, but so it's stemmed a lot of things like photography, things like that, and I don't know. Coffee's just it's been pretty freaking awesome.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I was happy to do this because we obviously, someone coffee is different from people we've normally done in the creative world, and this is a creative thing. There's a lot that goes into coffee, so I'm super happy to be able to talk to you. But now to my last question and my favorite question. What's your advice for the up and comings, whether it be in the coffee industry or just people trying to do what they love doing? What would you say to them?
Never give up.
For sure.
Persevere. I can't yet say that it's worth it because I'm not. I feel very strongly that it is worth it. And even with that, it is worth it because it's what you love. It's what you want to do. It's your dream. It's it's all of that. So it is worth it. And if you fail, then that's life. You fail all the time, and then you're gonna pick yourself back up, and you're gonna brush yourself off, and you're gonna do it again. Yeah. Or it's your decision. You can not do it again if you don't want to, or you can do it again. But if you do it again, we learn from our mistakes.
Yes,
so
for sure.
It's just be yourself. Like love what you do, make others around you love it just as much as you do. Show them what you love. Show them that what you're passionate about.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely agree with all that. That's awesome. I love that question because you kind of get the same things from everyone, but it's still refreshing to hear, and kind of keep showing your feet.
Definitely.
But dude, thank you. This has been great. I learned a lot myself. I'm sure these guys did too, and I'm sure listeners will, because it's definitely a shift from what we normally, do as far as interviews. So I'm stoked for people to hear it. And June 19th is when you guys open.
June 19th.
And be here. I'll get you have an event page or something like that, or what time.
Yes. Well, right now, we're working on social media for everything. But if anybody out there on Instagram, if you want to follow my own account, which is Mr_Foxley,
Yep.
Foxley. It's like Moxley, but with Fox instead of Mox. You can find me there, and I'll be posting things about and a link to our actual Instagram once that's up and going, which should be in this next week. And then I'll have Facebook up as well, and I'm not sure what else we'll do, but Instagram for sure, because that's our world, like I brought up.
Instagram is a
but yeah,
powerful
check
tool.
that out. I'm there, and coffee questions, shoot them at me, because
The coffee guy.
I'm the coffee guy, like Daniel said.
Yes, cool. So we'll have all that information in the description below, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on the podcast app. But yeah, thank you again. This has been wonderful, and I can't wait
definitely.
to get people to listen to it and out to the shop, because we're gonna get that. People will come here. It's gonna be great.
Definitely.
Cool. So thanks again.
Oh yeah.
You're the best.
Thank you.
And
For being you.
yes,
And
being
being
myself.
Daniel.
Cool. So we're out. Hey guys, Daniel here, your host of the Free Pizza Podcast. If you like what you just heard, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on the podcast app. Don't forget that we're on YouTube as well under Amplifier Films. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for upcoming episodes.